Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crossover Podcast. My name is David Shynock. I've recorded this intro like 6 times now, changed location. So if you hear dogs barking, if you hear anything going on, my apologies. It has been a really weird 3 or 4 days. Basically, we celebrated Christmas on New Year's because my sister got COVID shortly before Christmas, which changed a bunch of stuff. And yeah, it's just been interesting. So if you've been paying attention to my TikTok at all, you know by now we are in the middle of LCS kickoff, which is what I'm branding a 2 week content kind of push just to hype up the start of the LCS season. It's going to be a bunch of kind of countdown stuff, but also some headlines going into the year and a bunch of other things that I'm just enjoying. I am developing a little bit of a character that'll be announced next week once groups are out that I can start doing predictions. It's been a lot of fun, and I must say it's been one of the most entertaining projects that I've done in quite some time. Now, what makes this difficult is I enter month close starting Sunday, so I'm not able to record any content between Sunday and likely Saturday, and then potentially the following week as well. So I am beyond busy with work. So I had to get 2 weeks of content out in 3 days, more or less. Like I had the idea about 4 days ago. I was able to start pumping out things, but then I wanted to up the production quality a little bit, so I changed a few things up, and I'm really happy where things ended up. I'm curious to see where the numbers come in at, if it's recepted well, if the league community starts to grasp on as we get closer to the season, but we'll see. I'm not 100% certain, but the most important thing beyond anything else is that the LCS is almost back. So this episode, next episode, and then the LCS will officially be here with lock-in tournament. Even though it's not the regular season and there's only cash on the line, it feels like the official start of the year. And it feels like forever since we've seen an LCS team play. And it just feels like there's been not as much to kind of grasp onto, simply because after 2019, it just felt having even though it was a European team in the finals, I think having a Western team there kind of gave this sense of optimism. And this past year with COVID really kind of changed things. And obviously the optics from the LCS going into Worlds weren't great. And then even G2 wasn't looking great going into Worlds. So it felt like the whole year had a damper to it. So obviously G2 is looking phenomenal now for the LEC, but for the LCS, it seems like there's some possibilities, which we'll go into the storylines later. But yeah, I just want to give the quick recap on TikTok and everything there. If you have not checked it out yet, please do go follow my TikTok channel. I'll have it linked in the description down below. And Coco is peeing on the floor in the corner. Oh my god. Coco, what'd you do? And I can't correct her right now because I'm in the middle of a podcast. But she's going to come up and lick my face because she's sorry, because she's a bad girl. Huh? What'd you do? No, you were bad. It's pouring and raining outside. So, yeah. As you can tell, there's going to be some interruptions. And sorry, it kind of is what it is. And I do want to talk about content a little bit from the LCS and the lack thereof, more or less. It's hard because you look at some of the things that are out there and it's like, I guess going away from Riot first, Crackdown with Thorin and Dom is a great show, but I don't think what the league community needs is another podcast, which is kind of hypocritical of me saying that now, and I get that. I feel like we just need entertaining content in general. If that comes in a podcast, great, but I feel like that's not going to be the avenue that we can do that because we don't have the personalities to really kind of push that narrative. The majority of the content is going to have to come from Riot or be kind of short stints. Like Obviously Oblie's content would do incredibly well on TikTok, and I know she partnered with Team Liquid for the WAP video and a bunch of other stuff like that, but like, it needs to be fun again. There needs to be this element of silliness, but also seriousness to it that I feel like Jat specifically brought along. Jat, in combination with a few others. I think Mark Z is a personality that you want to build off of, because you have a lot of dichotomy in the sarcasticness versus some of the seriousness that comes with some of the other guys. Dash is a great host, but he can't carry the weight of that conversation. There needs to be banter naturally within the group. And I feel like Crumbs gets memed on a little bit, but in terms of the analyst desk, he's getting better. In terms of outside content, like content outside of just the desk or just the post game or pre-game, there needs to be more. And I don't know who needs to be in charge. I don't know what needs to happen, but I'm hoping that the LCS can step up their production this year, even despite COVID. I mean, I know there's going to be issues because obviously the first few weeks are going to be from home. The odds of them doing everything in studio is going to probably be slim to none, with cases continuously rising throughout the US right now. So they're going to be hindered a lot, which sucks. But I hope they're setting the ball in motion now to get a plan in place to really start building out their content ecosystem, their talent development, and get more people in that make you want to watch League outside of just League. Like, that make you want to tune in. When you watch the LEC, for example, you tune in to see Frosk and Medi and Vedi and Dracos and many other, like, the amount of content that they put out and the amount of banter that they all have with each other, as well as the pride for their region, just makes it so entertaining to watch. I feel like Kobe's really the only one that has like the true pride in North America because he has faith. And I know it might be dumb, blind, optimistic faith in North America at this point because we don't have the results to prove it. But I'd rather that than just knowing that we're shit and allowing that narrative to perpetuate itself and to be reflected, not necessarily in the content. That's not to say the content's crap, but I just want to see more out of it. I really do. One shout out I do want to give specifically is actually to the 100 Thieves podcast, or the 100 Talk group. They have done a phenomenal job over the last year of really building out a fan-made podcast that I would love to replicate. I'm not going to hide that. Like, I'm not going to say it's an original idea. If/when NRG gets into the league, I want to do the exact same thing. I know Cloud9 has it. I tried convincing a few people that, like, maybe we learn about some of the other NRG teams, but the reality is I don't care as much about any team in NRG outside of Call of Duty other than what would be League of Legends. I just want a team that I can buy into, and I buy into Andy Miller and Hex, and I really hope they get a team, but that's beside the point. Those two at 100 Talk have done a phenomenal job of bringing relatable fan content to everybody. Like, I'll sit there. I'm not the biggest 100 Thieves fan. Obviously, I have the merch, I have the long sleeve shirt and the hoodie, and I'll follow them for the LCS because they're technically my team right now. But those guys make it so much better to be a fan because it feels like there's somebody that you can relate to on a high scale. Hitch was that guy for Optic, which I still feel like a lot of people connect with Hitch in that same way, where like he's the ultimate Optic fan, the one that made it into the org, as well as the content creator, etc. But I also know people like Joey, for example, Optic Update. Optic Update now NRG Update, but I don't know if he's still running Optic Update because, you know, Optic is back in. I don't want to go on that tangent, but having content from a fan's perspective, not only from an individual team, but fan of a league, is necessary. There's a reason why people love, even though their takes may be crap at times, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Shannon they're all fans of the league. They're not pro players. They're not commentators or analysts in terms of the actual games themselves. They are just fans. And they give hot takes and the perspective of a fan of the game, which is very much needed. I feel like that's a lot of the content that's missing from North America. Like in Europe, it works because the desk is so well. I think if you want to see content succeed in North America, you need somebody to step up and be the Skip Bayless, to be all this. Dom can't be that guy alone. Like he can be, in the sense that he can be one of those personalities that bounces off of. Thorin can't be that guy. He's been in the industry for too long. He's an esports historian. He's not the guy that you connect with as a fan purely. And his takes are a little bit too roasty. Like, it doesn't come off as passionate as somebody like the 100 Talk guys do. So I'm hoping to fill that role. I'm hoping I can figure out a way to make a show or something, or do something that fills that slot, that gives that chance and that opportunity to kind of fill that niche. Or if somebody does, please do, because I'll watch the ever-living crap out of that content. But that said, one of the other things that I did for the LCS leading up, and I've talked about this a little before, dogs, please don't bark. One of the things I've talked about before is the LCS social media analytics, which I have now gathered again for the start of the new year. And I feel like a lot of the same things that rang true last time I did this still ring true now. But there's a few notable things that I want to go over. And I'll start off with the flame before I get to the really good parts in a bit. But Immortals is still not looking good. Really not much to say. Like, versus prior year, they're down 4% on the organization's Twitter. They're down 37% on Reddit. They're down 5% on Instagram. They're down 2% on Facebook. They're up on Discord 2%. Yay. They're down 4% on YouTube. Like, it's bad. Like, it's really, really bad. And that goes to show a thought that I'm already been having for a while, and that I think most other organizations have figured out for the most part, and is that you cannot purely rely on the League of Legends community to grow your fan base in the LCS. You can't. Like, you need to develop fans outside of League and try to convert them. That's going to be the best way that you can obtain new fans, because the reality is the majority of people that watch League of Legends at this moment have been watching for a while. And especially the LCS, because they're, I think, the least growing league out of the 4 major regions, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they're all obviously growing, but that's beside the point. You need something new. You need new people. You need new things. You need etc. The content team at Immortals, which I don't know who all is there, so I don't want to come off too inflammatory, but they need to do content that's more relevant to today's day and age, and then lump League of Legends into that and find a way to do that. You will grow your fan base as the Immortals organization grows in general, so long as you're doing a good job of making both general content like Fortnite, Warzone, etc., and then relating that into League of Legends and trying to find a way to blend everybody seamlessly into the organization. That's how you do it. You let people climb up the ranks. For example, and I've talked about this a little bit before, if you start in Call of Duty, or you start in Smite, or you start in any of these other games, eventually you will work your way up to the top esports of whatever genre you're in. If you like FPS games and you're playing a tier 3 esport, you will eventually hear about Counter-Strike, about Valorant, about Call of Duty, and you will, not saying people will play them, but you will eventually start watching them if you have a team of the other stuff, or at least content within the other things, like something to draw people in. So you can't expect to just put out League content, which they're not putting out all that much of, and expect to do well. So Immortals is obviously having their own issues outside of that as an organization, and I have a gut feeling they're going to be selling the LCS spot by the end of the year. That is not industry news. That's not insider. So yeah, I don't want to lambast too much into that again, but again, I do think that Immortals will be selling their spot at some point in time. They sold off everything else, so it would only make sense, even though they're clutching on to the LCS spot, that may be the final thing to go and be the nail in the coffin for what, according to social media, is a dying org. You should not be losing followers during the COVID era, let alone any era in gaming right now. Like, that's not a good sign unless you're above a certain threshold. In terms of TikTok, because I find this interesting, both Evil Geniuses and Golden Guardians don't have TikTok accounts. It is the hottest platform out there right now. Why are you not creating content? Why do you have nothing out there right now? Introducing players, team, whether it's gameplay, players, even management, something. Like, get on TikTok. It's really not a hard platform to put up even small numbers on. I'm putting up, generally speaking, I have a floor of about 100 views a video, but I've been hitting 1,000 views on a couple of videos. Like, every 3 to 4 videos I'll hit 1,000, and then sometimes it'll peak well above that depending on the topic. We'll see how LCS kickoff does. Hopefully it does well, but we'll see. The 3 orgs that I want to highlight, just in general, for doing a phenomenal job, and one is outside of the LCS, but again, I'm biased whenever I put up these media numbers in general, is TSM has 1.5 million TikTok followers, NRG has 967,000, and Team Liquid, 100 Thieves has 836.6. These 3 organizations are, whoever is running their social media in general is doing a phenomenal job. Their strategy for content is unmatched right now. The 3 of them are straight up killing content on every platform. Twitter, they're the 3 most followed organizations other than Cloud9. Cloud9 also doing a good job. Cloud9 is the Mario of the LCS, where they're not number 1. Like, they'll never be like the best in any particular category. Like, they're not the most followed, they're not the winningest, but they're always number 2. Like, they are so consistent across every category in every area that it's beyond impressive. Like, their fan base is solid. Everything about the org is very, very good across. I'm not gonna say all games, because I think they're struggling in Counter-Strike right now, even though they picked up some pretty big names. I'm not 100% certain on that. But from a social media perspective, Cloud9 is the Mario. TSM is just unreal. And I know it's primarily because of Valorant and Fortnite, those 2 areas, and Warzone as well. But like, their content team in general is just crushing it. Same with NRG, same with 100 Thieves. TST is doing phenomenally well for COD casual content. You have a bunch of Fortnite players there. You have Apex players. You have Valorant players with Ace. With 100 Thieves, that goes without saying. It's Valkyrie, Courage, Nadeshot. There's the amount of 2 Hype now. The amount of content that all of these organizations are putting out is phenomenal. And I'm really happy about it, because I kind of touched on it before with things bleeding into League of Legends, but look at 100 Thieves, for example. They came in as a no-name team that only people from Call of Duty knew the name of, and gained a bunch of followers. Obviously had a good first split, so that very much helps, and made Worlds in their first split, although that ended up leading to negative press within the League of Legends scene. They just did it right. Like, they found a new strategy in merch and being this lifestyle content esports company that everybody just wants to be a part of because it's cool. And they are, I don't even know how to relate them to a team in regular sports, because I don't think there is a trendy team in sports. It's like, there's not even a good comparison. Like, they are literally crushing the game in that regard. I do want to spread this out to a few others because I know I'm already hitting the 20-minute mark, and these solo ones are a little bit hard when you don't have ideas to bounce other people off of. So I might go over these numbers with a guest about a month or two from now. Whenever I might be getting my computer at the end of the month, so hopefully that goes well. Other notable orgs, and actually no, I'll end on this note. CLG is very slowly growing, like 5% on Twitter. Generally speaking, I don't think any of their numbers hit over 10% on any platform. So they're fairly stagnant, which makes sense with the CLG fan base. But they now have the most followed players in the entire LCS. Make a TikTok. Do something. Like, even if CLG has a bad split, get the CLG fans activated again. Like, there's a lot of people that I think would be willing to hype up the org if you would do something about it. No, I guess I got a flame. Nothing's going to be done because it's owned by MSG and they're just not putting enough resources into it, it seems like. I don't know if that's just lacking money from the top end. I doubt it's it's a decision from like CLG management, not MSG, but CLG management, because they know, like, they're talking to everybody. They understand the industry for the most part. I feel like it's the corporate talking heads above them that won't give them the resources necessary. But now all you need is a phone to put stuff on TikTok. I cannot emphasize enough how important it's going to be to make sure that your TikTok content is even just slightly decent, and everything will pop off. I promise you it will. You have Wild Turtle, who's sitting at, let me make sure I quote this number correctly. Wild Turtle has 418,000 Twitter followers. He was carrying FlyQuest for an entire year in terms of social media content. You can use him to bring the brand back somewhat, slightly, not fully, slightly. I hope they do something. I hope they use this opportunity. They are now bigger than every other organization in terms of player Twitter following. The second closest, I think, is Team Liquid at 459,000 versus their 891,000. It's common sense. Use your players wisely. Get the content out of them, because I highly doubt you're going to hold a roster of Broxa, Wild Turtle, I think Finn. Who's their top laner now? Yeah, Finn, Broxa, Pobelter, Wild Turtle, Smoothie. Use the content. Broxa and Wild Turtle and Pobelter will carry you to 100,000 followers on TikTok overnight, like that. Which I think their TikTok is actually doing decently well, all things considered. 39,000. Never mind. Not great. For an organization, not great. But for an individual, 39K would be pretty good. I just would expect more on that. I'm hoping by the end of this year they hit 100. Like, there's zero excuse, given the players that you have, to not hit 100,000 on TikTok at all. Anyways, I think we're a little bit over 20 minutes now. I do want to wrap this up. I got a bunch of stuff I got to get done around the house here. I just want to relax for a little bit because month close does begin soon. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have not checked out the David Shynock TikTok account, please do subscribe on YouTube, everything else. But most importantly, check out LCS WARMUP on TikTok. I got daily content coming out there every day leading up to the lock-in tournament, including, once again, a special character that you're going to want to see by the end of next week. It'll be out before the first official game goes out. So, yeah, we'll see. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.